I love it. We walk into a place, everyone's like introducing themselves. He introduces himself, and everyone just kind of looks at him. He's like, "I'm Bean." Everyone goes, "Oh, that's you, yeah, Bean."
Yeah.
Grain marketing.
Okay. Wow. Here we go.
All right, so we do have to preface this
100%.
with neither of us are grain marketers. We do our own I do my own for my operation. Nothing that we do or say should be taken as grain marketing advice. This is just thoughts and opinions of Josh and Johnny.
Yeah.
That is it. Make
100%.
your own discretion and decisions on your operation based off of your own stuff.
Well, every situation is a little bit different, which price point, so on and so forth. So what part do you want to tackle in with grain marketing?
So you and I have never had a conversation with grain marketing other than possibly the correlation between the moon phase. But
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But
maybe we should hold off on that one.
we'll just stay on the shallow side of grain marketing.
Yeah.
But we've never actually talked about price. We talked about price, economic input. But then the whole other chapter is once we have produced the job. There's a job of producing the bushels, and then what do we do with those bushels?
Yeah.
We sell them, hopefully for the highest dollar opportunity we have.
Yep.
So, I'm all ears here because you've watched multiple market cycles. I have too, but in different operations, guys, use different methods, tactics, grow their crops based off of their marketing plan, so on and so forth. I just want to hear, Johnny's brain unpacked on marketing, agronomy, marketing combined, then marketing and whatever from there.
Well, when it comes to the grain marketing side, I always think to myself, goodness, this is a heck of a topic to talk about, Josh.
It is.
I
met the Go Farm Yourself. We met the Go Farm Yourself.
Yes,
guy
we did.
in Nebraska.
Yes.
That was great.
We'll get him on here one of these days.
He told me he'd be on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting the grain marketing side. So, quote unquote, cycles. We understand there's cycles within the industry. There's opportunity, highs. I mean, it's fantastic. Everybody's happy-go-lucky, and then you get to the times like these, we got to be more efficient, more effective. When it comes to the marketing side, I utilize technical analysis, which that's a bigger word. But when going back to COVID, when I had to sit on my couch and I couldn't go outside, I started learning technical analysis. So I utilize that heavily to just figure out where resistance is and support. And just gives me an idea. So when a farmer calls saying, if we break, let's just say right now, okay, we were hitting that 450 mark. Okay, you hit that 450, you got rejected. Well, that was also a resistance line that was previously set. I remember we were at the Ag Day the Expo in Lincoln, and there was a marketer there chirping, and I asked him what's going to happen if we break this resistance, and he rattled off a number way higher than he ever should have. I said, clearly you missed the one at 460, and he just looks at me weird, and I was like, you got to look at the day chart, not the hourly chart, big guy. And it was just one of those things, you spend a little bit of time. I'm not saying you got to be a whiz, but like understanding where support and resistance levels are does help. So like in this situation, if we break 450, okay, 460 is the next resistance per se. So that's kind of the area you could play with. And or if let's say we were above 450, if we were coming back down, if we broke 450, it's probably time to sell because it broke resistance or support coming down. So I look at a lot on the technical analysis side. Understanding, though, there's a lot of fundamental analysis we as agriculturalists have to be aware of. Whatever happened in Russia influeing beans going down substantially. Also use a lot of resources, like understanding what is the United States carryover. Okay. I remember last time corn was, I think it was hitting 6 here 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And it was because of our lack of carryover. Like all of a sudden we didn't have any.
No corn around.
Right?
We depleted our piles.
And I remember going back and looking at our carryover and what we were needing and all that. And I remember telling guys, I was like, this is a 2-year problem. Like, I know we're going to have good prices for 2 years because it cannot solve itself. We just don't have that ability to solve itself. So I use those numbers, but then again, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about looking about that. So I think to myself as a farmer or somebody that's like, I'm not interested in that at all. Like how can I help them in that situation? And it goes back to what we talked about last time. Find somebody that does, to kind of fit within your team model. But when it comes to marketing, just understanding the very basics of options. Okay. How to protect yourself, how to hedge. I know some producers, I mean, they had a really good hedge at 460, 470 corn. And those are the best bushels he marketed last year. One of the common themes that always comes up when I talk about marketing with people, and usually, let's just say 450 is the number. I said, if 450 is your worst contract this year, you should be happy.
Yeah.
So
you're talking going into 25?
Well, let's just say in 2024.
Okay.
I don't know if I should sell. Is it above your break even? Are you making money?
Right.
Yes. Okay. What if this is the worst contract you sold? Well, that'd be fine. What if it's the best? Well, thank goodness.
Right. I remember he told me, if it goes up, if the price goes up, just contract ahead.
Yeah. Go to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. Quit looking at, I could have, and go to, I still can forward.
Yeah.
That would probably be a good add to the last podcast of finding ways to be more profitable in 2025 is really be disciplined on knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
That costs nothing.
Yep.
We're looking at what can we do to be the best ROI on our farm. I mean, as we said before, the two greatest ROIs is weather and markets, and we can't control either one.
Yep.
So tell yourself 2025 is going to be the year where I know my break even, because I'm still wildly alarmed at the number of farmers that do not know. Mm-hmm. They just hope to sell as much grain as they can raise at the highest price they hope to hit.
Yeah.
Hope's not a business plan.
Yep.
And how much profit do you want to make? How many bushels do you need to get there? And then going accordingly. I think guys would learn so much about their operation if they sat down and they were honest with themselves and they wrote down their actual costs, their interest paid, their machine payments, their property tax, all of that, not just your nitrogen, fertility and seed and diesel fuel.
There's
a lot of times, dude, I see that on a spreadsheet, and
Yep.
that's my input cost. What about your hired help, your repairs? Dude, my repair folders is the thickest folder in my filing cabinet.
Yeah.
It seems like, other than property tax. Oh my gosh, they keep sending new property tax crap. But anyway, thankful to own land. But, geez, really wound up about property tax. So, anyway, if you know your numbers, it's going to help you be much more effective in 25.
Well, then you can actually have a marketing plan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. Like, I understand people can say, well, have a marketing plan. Well, if you don't know A, you can never have B. So if you don't know your break even, and I'm talking about a legit break even that is accounting for your time too.
Yep.
You got to be able to pay yourself.
Yep.
And
you should pay yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you pay yourself last, then you are valuing yourself less than everyone else.
Yeah.
Now, that's not saying be stupid.
No.
But if you can't afford to pay yourself a wage, or, you got a problem in your company. Your farm's a company.
100%.
And so, if you're the CEO of your farm, you go to your grain cooperative and say, hey, we're not going to pay our CEO this year. Tell me how long you have a CEO. Why would you treat yourself differently?
Yes.
You are the most valuable asset on your farm. Probably, most likely.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I get to the part, understand that break even, know that number, and judge that break even on your APH. Always be conservative. Yeah. And when I say conservative on your costs, they're higher than what they're probably going to be. And on the other end, like production wise, at least at APH.
Yeah.
Don't say, well, if I hit 20% higher than my APH and I use 20% more inputs, it's going to cover costs, so on and so forth. That's not how to do it.
No.
Be realistic. I think that's something we talked about in the last podcast. Be realistic with it. Get those numbers. And then when it's time to pull the trigger, and this is the hardest part, and this is me talking with no bushels for myself to sell, you got to take emotion out. It's hard, but it is hard.
Oh, you absolutely you have to die. You have to be emotionless in grain marketing. Because, dude, we hope for, I talked about this with someone else the other day. It was in Nebraska. I think it was with the GFY guy.
Okay.
I said, how many times do we, it might have been, I can't remember. Yeah, I've talked to so many people this month. But we were, okay, say corn is, say we want to sell corn for $5 and the market's at $4.85 and we have a jump to $4.97. Dude, the number of times, and I was guilty myself, you need to almost implement close enough back into marketing when you're starting out. I had to. Maybe it's not right for everyone, but I had to say close enough. Okay, your ego says I want 5, but your bottom line says 497 is an opportunity gained. We do not want to take the risk of losing. Or, if I want 5, what's that 3 cents worth to you? 3 cents on 10,000 bushels, $300.
Yep.
You really want to play the market for $300?
Well, and when it gets to the market too, ever since the daily changes have widened so much, the amount, how fast things can go from things are looking okay to, oh no, you're talking 3 days. Yeah. Heck, maybe 2. Yeah. If you go down the limit twice.
When Russia and Ukraine decided to have their big thing at the beginning, my elevator would not price wheat.
Wow.
On one of those days. When wheat was literally moving by $1 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Up, down, like crazy. And they're literally, I called in and it was not it was a privately owned elevator. It was not my cooperative.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Just to clarify.
That makes more. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Just to clarify, that was, for those that know the cooperative I work with, it was not that one. Mm-hmm. It was a privately owned elevator. They wouldn't like, no, we're not going to price bushels today. We can't hedge fast enough for whatever it is they do. Yeah. And so, that was a wild time. Mm-hmm. That was a wild time. Wheat ran to 12, 13, whatever it was, $12. I don't know. That was just nuts. It was nuts. And we got emotion kicks in, and there's the Twitter, wheat's going to $20.
Yeah.
Wheat's going to $20.
Yeah.
So every farmer's like, oh my gosh, let's go.
Going.
So we wait. Mm-hmm. And then it's 7. Next thing we know. What's up, guys? Josh here. Ben's on the other side. Just wanted to drop in and say, check out our newsletter. We have someone different write it every quarter. And someone who really brings a lot of value in regards to knowledge and management on the farm. You can find it.
Check out the link in the description below, and it will take you to it on the website.
Send it to your dads who still read on the Kindle Fire. They'll love it.
Like mine.
Yeah, same. I got that from my dad. Check it out.
Yep.
That was emotion kicking in instead of how many times have you sold. It's like fertility. How many times have you raised 200 bushel corn and is your goal 200 and you've never hit it? Well, I've never hit it, but I'm always shooting for it. Great. Marketing. You're at 200. Do you want, how many times are you going to get it again? How many times have you sold wheat for $12? Never. Okay. Then do you think a once in a lifetime opportunity, which that is currently in my lifetime, do you think we should have sold? I wish I'd have sold a whole heck of a lot more.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, and even people I hear online, how many more times have you sold corn above, let's just say 550 now, above 550 versus below? In your short career span of farming?
In my 10 years.
Yeah.
Running the marketing on our operation, probably 7 years now. Yeah, dude, I've sold corn with a 2 on the front of it. I've sold corn with 7 on the. I don't think I sold anything for 8. I was darn close. I was darn close.
Yeah.
But that's a wide range. But yeah, 5+, man, not that much.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that good enough part really resonated with me. And then I even thought to myself, sitting here going back and forth is it a necessity to know the ins and outs of the futures market? Probably not. But then you mean to make sure you know the ins and outs of the cash market. You got to understand one of them to help protect yourself in the sense, like even just a simple forward contract. What does that mean? What is it doing? Why is that important? Getting those bids, and if it is close enough, pull the trigger. Definitely in a cash market.
Yeah.
Your basis, your HTAs. I understand they come with a little cost, but usually that 4 or 5 cents
contracts are HTAs.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
I have not gone down the rabbit hole of intense marketing, hedgings and all that, puts and calls and all that. I have not. I know I've set more of it. This is my goal. We hit it. Okay, lock it in. Let's watch our basis and go from there. It's worked well so far. Am I missing opportunity? Yeah, I'm sure I have. But it would take more of my time.
Yeah.
And what's my time worth with where I'm doing? Say make an extra $10,000 being really, really honed in on the market, or 1,000 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is my time that I was doing there, could I be more impactful and profitable doing something else? At this stage of my life, yes. So, whether it's time with my family or building the company, things like that, that's my current situation. And marketing plan is, my dad didn't contract. But he lived in a time where markets weren't changing by 50 cents a day.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing is how fast it can change.
Yeah. He always told me, he said May was the best time to sell beans historically. And June was the best time to sell corn or whatever. I mean, during his career, he's like, man, January was a good time to sell some beans. April, May, there was a good window generally. May to June, there was a good corn window, things like that.
Yeah.
And so he had these ranges, man, more times than not, they were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. And we're only talking a 30, 40 cent bump. I say only.
Yeah. I mean,
I say only. That was a big move on, when standard corn price is, $3? A 40-cent move is a huge move.
Yeah.
Today, that buys a pound of nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and so going to the marketing side, what I've heard, the old timers say is if you haven't marketed your corn by July 4th, you do it by the 5th.
Yeah.
It's just, but I think that time has changed. I think it's moved up,
I do too.
Personally. Another thing I get to when it comes to the marketing side, is just understanding what the opportunity costs are or the potential shortfalls that could happen for not doing it. I mean, we all know that basis more than likely is going to expand during harvest time. Mm-hmm. So how do you protect yourself against that risk?
Sure.
Gosh. And, taking it to that end user, and I know some areas it's very common. Some areas it's not as common as having on-farm storage. Now, with prices where they're at and where the economy is, I'm not sure if right now is time to build, but the amount of leverage that you have as a producer to have on-farm storage, I mean, it blows my mind at times.
Yeah.
And it can help in those situations.
Sure.
But also you got to utilize it as a tool, not just as not just as a grain bin. It's a tool of leverage.
Right.
And utilizing that leverage for your operation.
Sure.
Or if you have a person doing your marketing, they know that they can use that as a tool for leveraging.
I heard a great point. If your grain bin is your bank account, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
When you need money, we sell grain.
Yeah.
That's not a marketing plan.
No, that's not.
You'd be better off just selling the crop and sticking that money in a savings account, or a CD or something right now that's paying good interest.
Oh yeah, or Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin. We do not recommend any financial decisions or anything on this podcast, but Bitcoin's done really well.
recently. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that can turn around.
Thankfully, it did like
that.
crap a while ago. That was a good time to buy.
Well, beside the point was, not financial advice. Do not take our recommendations. I was just trying to get a laugh. And
Don't
I
listen
thought we
to
did
anything we say.
Ish. Niner.
Ish.
Niner in there. Is there a niner in there? But yeah, I mean, break even. Knowing your numbers, and I want to legit break even.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when they ask me for marketing advice when I say, well, what's your break even? Oh, well, that already tells me you don't know it.
Yep.
I should be able to
Bring
say,
me last year's tax return.
yeah. Yeah.
That tells the truth.
Yep.
You know, and you go, oh, I didn't spend that much. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You spent, $66,000 in repairs last year. There's no way. Well, did you budget that into your plan?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, with repairs so astronomically high right now. I mean, dude, the shop, my shop rate with my, case dealer, I think it's $160, $170 an hour. I mean, it's just a call and get him there is $1,000.
Wow.
That's just pretty much what you figure.
Yeah.
And then, parts, golly, man, that adds up fast. I mean, my wife hit a deer the other day and the headlight was $1,000.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means
Like, excuse me?
yeah.
So, anyway.
As my grandpa would say, oofta.
Oofda. Yeah, that's exactly right. Oofda.
So what else is it? Are you thinking, in this situation with markets or maybe any more questions you have for me of what else we could chat about, because with grain marketing, I know enough to be dangerous.
I'm about a third sold for 2025 already.
Okay.
I felt like for some reason, this is only a feeling. I feel like we're going to see a bump in corn a little bit at some point here this winter. I don't know. I think we might see 475. I don't know. I could be completely wrong easily. Mm-hmm. And if we do, I'm going to sell some more. I kind of got an amount in mind. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about some budgeting on the past podcasts, but my goal is to make this much per acre. Then here's my break even, my input costs, and so on and so forth. So, with my APH, is, let's say on the 107.
Yep.
I think my APH is 120 something.
Yep.
And so it might be 130. Let's say it's 130. At $4. Let's say 100. Let's say 100. Let's say it's 100. Easy math at $4 corn, $400. That's my guarantee. Okay, how am I going to strategically plan this year accordingly? What's my target profit? This is my target profit. If at today's markets I hit that target profit, okay, that's a successful business plan.
Yeah.
Anything else on top of that is just risk, right?
Oh, exactly.
So,
yep.
It's knowing your numbers really well, being honest with yourself about your operation. I don't know. I mean, marketing's a whole world that's, I don't know. There's a lot to it.
Well, if you got to the part where you understand that you got to take the emotion out of it, or in a sense, when you make those decisions, you almost have to be a robot.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to take emotion out of it by knowing your numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
some
if you
safety.
Yeah.
Like, at 450, I'm doing pretty good here on this farm at my APH, and so on and so forth. It at least helps you instead of, man, I hope I'm making enough to farm next year.
Yeah.
Type deal. It's like, no, you know where you're at.
Yes.
And there's, man, with the costs of, costs increasing and inputs not coming down as fast as prices.
Yeah.
Dude, I've had conversations with a lot of guys where banks are really like, where are your numbers at?
Yep.
More so than in the years past.
Yep.
Like you go to a bank and say, hi, I need an extra 100,000 in my operating line for next year. there's a lot more eyebrows being raised now than in the past.
Yeah.
Why? What are you spending money on? Where are you shaving money at? What's your plan? What's your cost break even?
Yeah.
So if you go to your bank asking for it, man, I hope it's not just because you hope you need it or think you need it.
And the part that I feel so much for, well, heck, even as a business owner myself, I just really feel because, gosh, we haven't changed, let's just say we haven't changed anything, but it's 20% more. Or 30%, like you're saying here, why numbers are so darn tight here, but I haven't done much, So I feel for that. I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent, but I do think that's something to be cognizant of. Like we got to adjust for stuff that's going on the more macro economy side too.
Yeah. So it seems like global events are making much more market impact than in years past.
Yeah.
And it seems like COVID is what triggered that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the awareness of that.
Yeah. Well, and I just get to the part too. There's some things that are out of our control, but we still have to be flexible around them, So in these situations, in these times, like a term that my buddy Jeff would always say, I got to trim fat. And we start going through stuff. I'm like, gosh, we're already running on pretty lean. Like, we kind of need this, we kind of need that. So how do we be more cost effective with every dollar, which we talked about earlier, being so intentional with that dollar that we know when we spend that dollar, we're hopefully, at least getting a 1-to-1 return, more preferably a 3-to-1.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But if you at least are getting a 1-to-1 return, we're going in the right direction. And if you already, here's the thing too, in your break evens, if you can make sure you're putting your time into it, then you're making money. If you forget about time until the end of the year, then, gosh, it's even harder for those numbers. And I think that's where the emotion comes in a lot.
Sure.
If you don't equate for, the quote-unquote profit side of it, we get to the end here, and we're just crossing our fingers if we made a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that scares the crap out of me.
Right.
So it's just, it goes back to I'm so big on intention at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way. And honestly, I think a lot of people in agriculture, period, they have those intentions. Now it's about taking these intentions and creating action. So 2025,
following out the plan.
I'm going to have a break even. Is it going to be perfect? No, but at least you have a number.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, develop your own marketing plan to a point. And it doesn't have to be, there's 7 different steps to this ladder. Have 3, have 2.
Right.
Start. I just want action.
Right.
And when I say I just think that's where we need to move forward is every person in agriculture I talk to, I feel like has great intentions and we have great things moving forward. And gosh, there's so many amazing people.
Yeah.
It's now time to breathe and create that action.
Mm-hmm.
So we know what we need to do. Now we need to do it.
Yeah. Dude, when I started trying to be really intentional about putting things on a chart, on a paper, I started having much more fun with it than I thought I would. Like this year, I broke something I haven't done before is take every farm, the acres on that farm, my APH, my guarantee APH, I'm making a chart on a spreadsheet, then my realistic yield, my APH goal, then my realistic yield goal, and then my
it's gonna be a killer year,
it's
baby.
Happening.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Guys, we just wanted to stop for just a second and let you know that we're looking to expand our team, building our group of distributors across the United States. If you are passionate about soil, helping people, farming,
Learning.
yeah, absolutely. You can reach out.
Info at singularags.com. Agros.
Singular Agros.
Agros, correct.
Info at singularaagros.com.
Yeah.
Anyway, so will there be a link in the description? You can do that.
Yeah.
Techie. Catch you guys
Why he's
later.
a knowledge guy.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
And then yield.
Yep.
And then I put my assumed yield. At the end, what it made. So bushels, marketed, sold, profit.
Yep.
And anyway, it was so interesting. In 2024, I came in about dead middle between realistic and super hopeful.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
man.
know. That's
Great.
I was very now, granted, my realistic goal is lower than what it used to be because
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yep.
Right. If you'd asked me 2 years ago what's realistic, I probably would have been too hopeful.
Yep.
I'd have been like, we can hit 160 when my realistic should be 130 because that's pretty safe. My APH is 120, realistic 130, 140. Let's split the difference. Let's say 135. My super hopeful is 160, 170, and this year we had a lot of that. That was this year. And we had a lot of 150s. We had some, but on some of my 140, some I like hit mid 170s.
Awesome.
I averaged, yeah. And so, and that's when you really start to, when you have all of that in front of you, you're like, because dude, you always want to be more hopeful. I think we could do 180. Yeah. I think we can, or 190 or 210, whatever. Or on beans, If realistic's 40, I think realistically, if we really push it, we could get 50. That's not being real.
Yep.
That's not being real. That's being hopeful. So, I would much rather at the end of the year end up with an assumed yield that's closer to hopeful than realistic because that's more profitable. And I financially planned for realistic. So, that margin is profit.
Exactly.
That's profit.
Yeah.
It's that has really advanced me as being a businessman on my farm, just looking at all of that in front of me and keeping myself honest on my operation because, you get that beautiful rain that's moving through and you're like, oh yeah.
You got that rain Labor Day weekend on your soybeans.
That's
hot
exactly
diggity
hot diggity
dog.
dog. Let's but then it kind of tells you, it keeps you mentally in check. Like, hey, this is my budgeting number. This is my guaranteed number. This is my budgeting number. This is my because, hopefully, a lot of times you're going to come above your APH. Hopefully, there are guys that, man, there's been a drought for a long time. And there are guys that have gotten good rains.
Yep.
We hope, but that's why it's hope. This is our guarantee. If we can hit that, but you get to that certain stage, you just watch that. You just review those numbers. You look at it, and you get to Labor Day weekend where you've got, because then you know so much more than you do about the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, do I have $20 left in my budget at the beginning of the year? What do I spend it on? Don't. If you don't know, if you don't need it yet, just save it.
Yep.
You may not need it, or we can find something to be very intentional later on Labor Day when it rains.
Yep.
Okay, we have a tremendous looking crop. We pulled some tissues. We're low in zinc. Or, we struggle with this. The plants are showing it. Hey, we've got that $20 earmarked. We have this crop. It looks like. You kind of, we got 20%, say we've got, the crop is past our APH, looking at it.
Okay.
We're a month from harvest.
Yep.
If APH on beans is 40, and the beans are, we're walking them. They're 50, 60 bushel beans right now. Okay. Now, how much do we want to take that and say, let's shoot for 65, 70 bushel beans? And let's, I think we can run a foliar. This is a realistic yield bump we're looking at. What's the cost?
Yep.
Because that's still a risk. You could have a freak event come through. You could have a hailstorm come through. You could, whatever it might be. You could have an early freeze come in.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you might, hey, oh crap, that chunk of money you just spent is profit gone because now we're back down to our APH. So that there's that zone there of when the crop looks like it's exceeding your guarantee.
Yes.
So then how much do we want to push the needle? Do we want to push the needle? Is there room in the budget to push the needle?
Yeah.
If you have cash on hand to push the needle, or are you borrowing money to push the needle? These are all things that are different for every
Which
operation.
reminds me, make sure you have interest on your break even.
Yeah. You'd be amazed how many, well, it's amazing how many people don't.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I mean, definitely when times, back when the interest rate was lower, like, okay, so be it. Like now,
couple percent.
it needs to be on
9%, 10% operating line.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a chunk. That's a chunk of money. You know, it's like, well, I don't know. It's just all adds up. It adds up so fast.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to have like a total squirrel moment with you.
It's fine.
So one thing I think about going back to marketing, and I talked about the futures, and I know I talked about earlier, you don't have to be a quote unquote professional in the futures if you understand the cash. One thing that I personally believe is underutilized in the markets is understanding, and I'm just going to make this very simple, very short, is just the understanding of a put call spread. Okay, and understanding the hedging of that and what it could do. So using a put call spread, so you buy a put, which is protecting you from going low because you put a shovel in the ground. Okay, that's a put. Call, you put a phone up to your ear in the air, call's going up. Okay. But what you can do in this situation is let's use 450 because we've used that the rest of the time in this podcast.
Right.
So let's just say 450 is your number, or that's where you want it to be no matter what. Like that's the lowest you can be. So let's just say the market gets up to 475. Okay. What a person could do is ring on the phone and say, hey, I want a cash contract at 475 HTA, take your basis off. Great. Fantastic. If a person says, well, what if it goes up a quarter? What if there's a chance we hit 5? What a person could do here is buy a put at 450. Okay. That's going to cost you money. That premium is going to cost you money per bushel. Then on the flip side, you sell a call at $5. So what that's telling you as a producer is your price range on the board is $4.50 to $5. Okay. If you're happy with that, that helps lower your cost of your put. So it costs you less for that quote unquote insurance of that price. But then, yes, you are actually capping yourself at $5 as well. But that's your range, and you have 25 cents to play with from the 475 that it was that day. I'm not saying you have to do that. If you don't want to get that technical, when it's 475, you call the elevator and say, forward contract. And if it's done, you know you're above your 450.
Yep.
But you can utilize that futures market more of a what if, or if you want to, risk reward, right?
Yes.
It comes down to the more you risk, the more possible reward, more possible downfall, so there's both sides to it. But that is just one way. I think it's underutilized. That one spread and understanding that one spread would help out more operations.
Videos.
Yes. Oh yeah. Dig into it. Don't just listen to this one podcast and say that.
Learn.
Yes. Learn that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go into the weeds any further than that.
And try a little bit.
Yeah.
Play with, 1,000 bushel or whatever
there's
a minimum.
5,000 bushel.
Okay. All right.
And it's a contract.
If 5,000 bushels is too much for your operation risk, don't do it yet. Or learn intensely first.
And what's nice too is some people get scared of like margin calls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If you do this put call spread, I guess don't quote me on this, but this is the way I understood it, is you don't have to worry about it because they cancel each other out.
Okay.
So then you're not getting that call from, hey, you need to deposit this much more dollars into your margin account.
Okay.
Because you have that, you made your gap, you bought and sold a contract. So if it goes below 450, your put cashes out. If it goes above, you're capped there. So, if the market does go up to 520, well, you still sell it at 5 because that's what that agreement is.
Yeah.
And it's being okay with that because now you know your range. Okay. And how important is it with your range? Because now it turns into, I know my range. Now I need to know the bushels.
Right. You have a yield. You have a yield range. Why not have a price range?
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. If you can get your price locked down, now it's more of, okay, now if I make an extra 10 bushels, that's profit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
how many bushels do you have to produce at what price to then break even?
Yep.
Because, and then after that, that's our profit margin.
Well, and there's even some people that talk about, at the end of the day, it's the price per bushel. Like, how much does it cost you to make a bushel of corn?
Right.
Which I respect that.
Sure.
They're not wrong.
Right.
But you're not going to know that answer more times than not until the combine runs through.
That's
so
right.
trying to make a marketing decision based on that
Sure.
makes it tough.
Sure.
Now, I understand their point, and I agree with the concept, but to be able to make a decision in June if you should sell a corn contract or not, you don't know if there's going to be a hailstorm July 5th.
Right.
And it's just being careful, being cognizant there. And I understand why guys don't think of it that way because of those question marks.
Yeah.
So,
well, and if you geographically, if you're in the West and you've got, a high likelihood of a hailstorm, well,
heck, my neck of the woods, what's going to happen. It's just how bad is it
and when.
and how many acres.
Okay. Yeah. So, obviously weather risk plays a factor into what kind of contracting you would approach from.
Yep.
If you can, now tell me if I'm wrong, but if you can,
You're wrong.
If you can, oh, good. We got that over with. Check that box. If we can roll a contract, so there's contracts you can roll.
Yep.
And that would be one you would probably want to look at if you are in a high risk area where your crop might get wiped out.
Oh, yeah. Or just know what the ins and outs of that contract are if you cannot. Like, what's the cost?
If you can't fulfill it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because who knows? Maybe you got a contract that, let's just say, is at 480 for cash, and now the market's at 410.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you just created some arbitrage in your own world because you can purchase it from XYZ farms maybe at
From your
430,
neighbor.
430 now, and still make 50 cents a bushel. I'm not saying that's what we should be doing, but
I can't say that
just
I have done that.
Just know the ins and outs, though, of oh, there's a little tongue in cheek there.
I don't.
But
Not making it. We're not making any recommendations.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm just be cognizant.
Be open-minded.
Yeah, be open-minded.
Look for opportunity.
When opportunities present themselves, open up.
There you go.
I mean, of course, I'm a junkie. I look at the CME, and I look at where the number of contracts that are going on each different price frame. Like, definitely, if we're hitting a rally,
Yeah.
okay, I'll look on the CME and see where the most calls are being bought at,
Okay.
because that tells me where, quote unquote, smart money, whoever smart money is, wherever smart
hedge
money,
funds.
I mean, wherever they think it's going to be at, because that number it's going to show you.
You have the two hopeful guys.
Yeah.
You have the realistic guys, and then you don't have any. I don't know.
Well, you just find out how many contracts. So let's just say corn's at 450 today, because I love that example.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a lot of calls at 480.
Okay.
Why is that?
Right.
That's weird. That's a 30-cent jump.
Sure.
So that's telling me, okay, maybe there is a lot of upside potential here. Or not a lot, but 30-cent upside potential here.
Right.
There's somebody, and there's also going to be your cattle guys, though, trying to protect themselves, too.
Okay.
Because, I mean, so almost on the inverse, when they would buy a call to make sure that their price, so if the price skyrockets, they're still secure at this lower price for grain. Because grain's an input for them.
Yeah.
Your
opportunity is someone else's loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a person that wins money in a trade and loses money in a trade.
That's
There's no such thing as
money just moves.
two double wins.
Money just moves.
Yes.
That's all it does.
Yep. Moves from the winners to losers. Or no, other way around. Losers to winners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not much of a grain marketer, but I like staring at it. Let's put it that way, Josh.
Yes. What's it? Speculation.
Yeah.
Speculation is intriguing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we burned another podcast time frame up.
Yeah, that one felt like it was shorter,
It did.
but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah.
So until
Okay.
next time.
I'm going to turn the mic off and ask you what you think corn's going to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll tell you an answer.
That's right. What? Nothing.
Nothing.
All right. So, appreciate you guys.
Thank you, everyone that listens.
That's great.
Enjoy it.
And Kirk wants me to tell you
Merchandise.
the website. Boom. And as El Presidente Gibbs would say,
Farm
farm
on.
on.
Guys, thanks for watching the content so far. If you would like to see more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got all the full-length podcasts, other video information, tutorials on there. Also on all the major podcast platforms and social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. So if you like this, go ahead and check more out on all those platforms.